Everyone assumes they understand my journey, but they have no idea about the burden I carry as a leader. They see the news, the speeches, the public face, yet they remain unaware of the storms I navigate behind closed doors.
Larry Madowo, a respected CNN journalist, released a documentary that shook the entire region. It uncovered events linked to Tanzania's 2025 election stories many believed would never come out. Larry traveled to areas where people whispered about violence.
He interviewed families who said they had to bury loved ones at night, quietly, without anyone knowing. He gathered phone recordings, videos from locals, and online clips appearing to show security officers firing live bullets at unarmed protesters.
But what stunned the world the most was scenes suggesting the presence of mass graves. Using satellite images and expert analysis, Larry compared disturbed patches of land with locations near military zones.
According to his documentary, many bodies were buried without being identified.
This one investigation forced the world to question what Tanzania's government may have tried to hide.
The global narrative shifted dramatically. Tanzania was no longer seen only as a peaceful nation. Instead, the hidden suffering of its people came into view.
Larry's work broke a silence that had lasted far too long.
The film enraged Tanzania's leadership because it exposed secrets they believed were buried. For years, Samia Suluhu Hassan had been celebrated internationally as a reformer, someone who would bring hope, openness, and progress.
But after the documentary aired, global conversations changed. Many began holding her responsible for the alleged abuses. She felt cornered, embarrassed, and challenged.
The government's previous statements claiming everything is fine appeared inconsistent with the evidence shown in the film.
Her frustration also grew as international pressure mounted.
Investors hesitated, tourists cancelled travel plans, and human rights organizations demanded answers. Even within her own party, some powerful figures questioned her future.
A leader who once seemed peaceful and modern now faced serious threats to her authority.
The documentary damaged her image more than any political rival ever had.
Larry's investigation presented troubling claims that authorities had tried to hide deaths following the election.
The film featured young men digging large pits believed to be used as mass graves. Satellite visuals appeared to confirm newly disturbed soil near military sites. Families stated they were forced to bury relatives in silence.
Videos showed crowds running from security forces shooting at peaceful demonstrators.
Experts geolocated the clips, confirming where incidents allegedly happened.
One heartbreaking incident mentioned was about a pregnant woman who was shot while trying to flee.
She was the main provider for her home, leaving her husband and her children devastated. The documentary paints a picture suggesting that the violence wasn't random, it seemed systematic. It pointed toward government responsibility for the suffering. When Samia Suluhu first took office, she was welcomed with excitement. Tanzania had its first female president. She encouraged greater media freedom, invited exiled activists to return, and rebuilt diplomatic relationships. Many believed she would unite the nation and correct past injustices.
But change slowly reversed.
Journalists disappeared, activists were jailed, and
elections grew more controlled.
By the time the 2025 vote came, opposition voices had almost vanished. Reports of violence rose.
Then Larry's documentary confirmed the world's suspicions Tanzania's democracy was in trouble.
International leaders began questioning whether Samia was truly a reformer or sliding into authoritarianism. Young Tanzanians felt betrayed.
Human rights groups warned of possible sanctions.
Her dream of being remembered as a symbol of progress was now overshadowed by serious accusations. The 2025 election was expected to be routine, but events changed everything.
Days before voting, opposition rallies were blocked, leaders were arrested, and campaigns were restricted.
Tundu Lissu, one of the strongest opposition figures, was detained upon arrival and charged with treason. His party was removed from the ballot, leaving voters with little choice. For 3 days, the government shut down the entire internet, leaving people unable to communicate or share information. Many believed this was done to prevent exposure of misconduct.
When results finally came, the government declared 87% turnout and a 98% victory for Samia.
But with no transparency, people doubted the numbers. Protests erupted.
Young people, parents, students, workers all poured into the streets demanding fairness. They wanted their voices heard.
The demonstrations began peacefully but quickly turned tragic.
Security forces flooded the streets.
Tear gas came first, followed by live ammunition.
Videos showed officers aiming directly at unarmed citizens. Women, teenagers, elderly people, no one was spared. Hospitals struggled with the number of wounded.
Families searched desperately for missing relatives. Some had been taken by security forces. Others simply disappeared. When the internet was restored, images of bodies on the road spread online.
Streets once filled with hope turned into scenes of horror. The world finally paid attention, realizing the crisis wasn't just political, it was a humanitarian tragedy. At first, foreign governments remained silent. Tanzania is an important economic partner, so no one wanted confrontation.
But as the evidence spread and Larry's documentary aired, silence turned to global pressure.
The United Nations warned that crimes against humanity might have occurred.
The African Union stated the elections were not free or fair. Investors withdrew funds.
Tourism collapsed, especially in Russia.
Even Tanzania's close allies began questioning the leadership.
Internationally, Samia's image shattered. Leaders who once praised her reforms distanced themselves.
The global community now demanded two things: justice and stability. Countries wanted accountability for the deaths and a move back toward democracy.
Inside Tanzania's ruling CCM party, doubts grew.
Some leaders worried that sanctions and instability would harm the country's economy.
Politically and legally, Samia now faced her greatest challenge. If investigations began, she could face accusations of enabling or ignoring violence, leading to potential legal consequences. Her once hopeful legacy risked being replaced by one of fear and suffering.
The coming months could decide whether she stays in power or becomes one of the most controversial figures in Tanzania's modern era. While politicians argue and leaders defend themselves, ordinary Tanzanians continue to suffer the most.
Families who lost loved ones live in fear.
Many don't know where their relatives' bodies were taken.
Parents search for children, husbands for wives, brothers for sisters.
Businesses struggle as tourism declines and investment falls. Young people see their dreams fading.
Schools and universities whisper about politics but avoid speaking openly.
Social media users watch every word they post.
The atmosphere in the country is heavy. People want peace, but they also crave justice. Larry Madowo's documentary is important not only for Tanzania, but for the whole African continent.
Many countries face similar issues: silenced protests, questioned elections, and restricted journalism.
Larry proved that technology, satellite images, and digital evidence can reveal truths even when governments try to hide them. His work empowers journalists across Africa, reminding leaders that the world is watching. For many African youth, the documentary is a symbol of hope. It shows that one brave person can challenge powerful systems.
It reminds us that democracy and human rights belong to everyone. No matter what happens next in Tanzania, the investigation has already made history. It has shown that African citizens deserve the same fairness, freedom, and dignity as people anywhere else on Earth.